look back at the year that was 2021 and the sort of the title of this thing, the buzzword of this thing are the top 10 takeaways from what we've learned on how to grow a successful art business in 2021. And boy, are there some profound lessons from this last year. It was an absolutely stunning year. So our goal is to sort of just off the cuff rant about these 10 things. We're probably going to have some bonus things, so it actually might be 12 things. We'll deal with as many comments as we can as we sort of roll along and pick up steam. But I think this is, the most important things that you need to be aware of in 2022 if you want to have a successful art business. It is the list of you don't have to get a whole lot right as long as you don't get these things wrong list, right? And really the umbrella is, I think, as you and I look back at 2021, how profoundly encouraging this list is if you follow it. The potential that you have to grow a successful art business is quite incredible if you follow this list, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So if for nothing else, we plant some seeds as that you can take into the tail end of your holiday is, we're all going to sit down here and contemplate our years. We're going to pop our champagne. We're probably going to be partying alone because COVID is everywhere. What a lunacy, crazy, nuts year this has been. But inevitably, as human beings, we all contemplate what it is that we want to do in 2022 to improve our lives, right? And for you guys to improve your art businesses, right? How are you going to make 2022 your year, right? And shout out to you, Robert, by the way, because I listened to those podcast episodes and those were a really good listen too. Robert was the one that shared those with me. So we'll be talking about those in this episode.
And what I would say is, like, for everybody that's listening to this, as we go through these top takeaways for 2021, write them down and mark down which ones you're actually doing and which ones you're not. Okay, because these are the things that we at Art Storefronts have learned. Okay, with like 6,000 members, right? And all of the businesses that we're coaching and that we're providing the software for, the art selling websites, all the marketing coaching and consulting that we're doing, and so it's literally like golden information headed into 2022, right? And it could be I would guarantee that for most of you, there's at least 2 to probably 5 of these things that you're either not doing or you're not focusing on hard enough. So really, really good stuff here. And the other thing that I'll say too, Pat, is that what an incredible year this was.
Yeah.
Just incredible. So exciting, you guys. For individual artists and photographers that are out there, we've been talking about this for a couple of years, right? And it really started happening after the pandemic, and unfortunately, of course, but the shift to e-commerce has been unprecedented, okay? In every space. There's also been this shift that's happening, where the power has been shifting away from centralized entities, okay? In music, art, writing, publishing, all of that, to the individual creator, okay?
Yep.
And so it's everywhere. And that's, for every individual creator that's out there, the wind is getting further and further at your back every single year, okay? As more business moves online and, more people are buying things online. Every time you see a stat that talks about how e-commerce sales have grown again this year and have cannibalized some of the offline business, it is good for you. It is really good for you. It's really good for every individual who is, trying to run their own business from home, because the bigger the market is online, the bigger the pie is for you. And it is super exciting. And all we have seen for the last couple of years, with this year being a crescendo, right? Every year is essentially a new crescendo, Pat, because the trend is in our favor, right? The trend is in the favor of anybody that is like really, really focused on the online business, right? But like what we see is individual artists and photographers breaking their own all-time records. Individual artists and photographers breaking their own all-time records this year in sales. And they're looking at 2022 going, look, if 2021 was my all-time record, And 2020 was my previous all-time record. What direction are my sales going? Right?
Yep.
They're going in the right direction. And if the record for you, and this is a really important point, you guys, for all of you listening to this, because I know that many of you that are listening to this are not as successful as you want to be. Such an important point. If your business was better in 2021 than it was in 2020, okay, your sales were higher, you know, your email list grew, that is a step in the right direction. Businesses are not built overnight, okay? Talk to any entrepreneur. I've started 5 companies, okay, in the last 25 years, all right? If you talk to any entrepreneur out there in any business anywhere, okay, it takes time. 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, period. And we'll get into this in a little bit. I know it's probably one of the points that we're going to talk about here, but
yeah,
but it's such an important thing. If you did better than last year, you're on a better path. Okay, your business, you're making more customers happier, and you just need to keep doing it. Right, the beginning is always slower, and when you start getting into years 3, 4, and 5, things start ramping much more because you're getting to a critical mass. So overall, could not be more excited. I just could not be more excited for 2022 and January and Q1. We've got Valentine's Day right around the corner. That's one of the biggest art selling holidays right after Q4. So you just get right back into it, you know? You get right back into it.
The grind does not stop. What year are we at Art Storefronts?
We are we are going to be going into year, let me see, 2014 was at the very beginning of the year was when we started. So what is that, 8 years?
So there you go. Finally feels like we have some momentum. the perspective.
Always.
Okay.
I mean, look, it always takes, you know, you remember like we started really getting momentum probably in like years 4 and 5, right? Yeah. And then it just accelerates. But years 1 through 3, a grind. I don't care any business you're in. Everyone knows this. If you don't know it, one of the most important things that you can do is understand that it's normal.
Yes.
Understand that that's normal. And so it doesn't mentally just drag you down when you're like, I only sold $8,000 in my first year or $2,000. Like, you got started, right? And you just got to take incremental steps forward and get there.
Okay. So we dive into the list, and it's in no particular order, right? They're all sort of just going to be talking points. But at the very top of the list, I would be remiss not to have, not that there's any order to it, but top 10 takeaways from 2021. Number 1 is the live art shows. Okay. The live art shows. And I can define these succinctly as using various different technological devices, your phone, your iPad or tablet, your laptop, your desktop computer, to go live. Okay. It can be on Zoom or Google Meets or Microsoft Teams or Facebook or Instagram, streaming to the various different sites and holding your art and merchandising your art and having a sale. Okay. And I believe that we ran our first ones with customers in July of 20. Okay. In July of 2020. Since then, we've run hundreds, okay, directly with our customers, getting them to run live art shows, let alone the thousands of live streams that we've done as a business, exactly what we're doing right now, right? The multiple, I can't even begin to tell you how many I've run. And I have to say at a macro, I have never in my entire career in this business seen anything like it. Okay. It doesn't matter if you're just getting started, by which I mean you don't have any social media followers, you don't have an email list, only your mom is on your email list. Okay. Or if you are really cooking, you have large social following, you have a large email list, you've been doing your marketing, or anywhere in between. Okay. The results we have seen this year with our customers running these has been staggering. And 2021 was so interesting just based on the sheer amount of refinements to our process that we've done on these, right? And it's everything from how we go about them step by step and the playbooks that we've created on what to do, how to tease the sale, how to announce the sale. And it moves forward to the advancements in our web software. I mean, this year, about halfway through the year, so we released our live art show pages, which are essentially one-page websites that facilitate
amazing feature.
Yeah, that facilitate the commerce and running a live art show, right? Just to all the learnings, it has been insane. And I would go as far to say that despite the fact you can't really call it an individual marketing tactic because it's a bunch of marketing tactics rolled into one, right? With the email marketing before, during, after, hand-to-hand combat, all of that. But I would call the running of live art shows the single most impactful marketing tactic I have ever seen, full stop.
Never, like, there's not even anything close.
Not even anything.
Nothing's even in like the, like, if live art shows are like in the middle of the stadium at the 50-yard line, there's not even something else even in the stadium.
No.
There's not something even in the rafters that's like, oh, the next one. It's so far back, so far gone that you can't even compare it to anything. That's how impactful these are. And the thing that,
Massive.
one of the things, that really stood out to me with the live art shows, Pat, was like, we had to run hundreds of them, like you mentioned, in order to figure out the trade craft, what makes it actually successful. And what really blew my mind is how, we ran a couple of live art shows for some very successful photographers and painters, right? And the first show, sometimes it bombed. Like, these people, you would expect
sometimes, lots of times. Like,
I mean, these are people with like sometimes like 1 million followers on Instagram, like just some crazy, like high profile people who are sponsored by major brands, and then they do their first live art show and they sell like $1,500, and you're like, whoa, this person should be selling like 10 to 20 grand. Like, what happened here, right?
Yeah.
And then you go in, and then we help them, and then we make sure that all the tradecraft, all the correct things are done before, during, after the show. There's a whole process here. And then when you do all of that, boom, right? The second live art show, all of a sudden that person sells, 15, 20 grand in one day, right? And so the trade craft in it is a big deal. And I think that it's a really important thing to mention, because if we're going to talk about how impactful these live art shows are, and anybody tries to run one, or if you've ran one before and it hasn't worked out well, you better believe that there is a trade craft to doing it. You could sell almost nothing, and then the next one you could sell a ton. So it's really interesting. Like anything, that's done well, you do these well, and that's where the real ROI is.
Yeah, and anyone, and I've seen some comments like, where can I see examples of live art shows? Scroll back in the feed. Okay, I've been talking about these things this year like crazy. I would go as far to say, I believe that we are the leaders in teaching how to run live art shows, and I believe we have not even scratched the surface. I believe what we have planned in terms of rollout with the marketing playbooks, with the advancements that we're making to the software. I've got a brand new charity feature that we're about to cook into them. Anyway, I don't want to get bogged down in that, but we are going to be the #1 organization that empowers artists and photographers to run live art shows. No, we already are. I mean, let's be honest, no one else even does this, but it is so fundamentally important. Now, you and I get fired up on enthusiasm, and it's like, and everyone catches on to that. And I don't want to blow a bunch of smoke up anywhere, right? Do you know what the most difficult thing about running these live art shows are? My #1 takeaway from 2021: getting people to actually do them.
That's what I was going to say.
To actually do them. Like, I dove in on the deep end. We developed this software. We added a service in our agency that I want to talk about in a second. And throughout all of that, I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, this is the most, I felt like I was taking all the horses to water and none of them were drinking, right? We have the software, you guys. We have the playbook, step by step. You don't even have to learn anything. I'm telling you everything that you need to do. Here's the templated language on the emails. Here's what to do before, during, after. The most difficult thing I faced, myself, my marketing team here faced, was convincing our customers to do them, getting them to do them, not just showing the horse to water, but grabbing the horse's head and dunking it in the water until it drinks. And, the graphic nature of that aside, it's terrifying being on camera. It's terrifying getting a bunch of inventory together that you're going to hold up and show and talk about. It's terrifying to merchandise your work. Everybody has those fears. Everybody has those trepidations. So 50% of what we pivoted to in the last quarter of the year was just figuring out these ways to incentivize folks to do it. Because once you get the first one down, you make all these mistakes. You realize that you're human. People laugh with you. No one cares. You don't need hair. You don't need makeup. You don't need a fancy camera. We all live in normal looking houses. Nobody is a superstar, right? So that has been the continued battle of it all. It's why we had to add, we don't usually talk about this, but we have an in-house marketing agency at Art Storefronts. And one of the services that we actually offer is the live art show producer, where we essentially do all of it for you. We show you how to do the emails. We show you how to warm up your collector list. We build the web page for you. And then we're there as a producer on the show to help you sell the art, facilitate the sales, right? And that's been really, really successful. But we've really, really elevated our game. I mean, one of the beautiful things about where we are as a business at Art Storefronts is we're leading on these things. I mean, it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn. I am. I'm so proud of this. I'm more proud of this than anything else. We lead by encouraging our customers to do it, facilitating, running them with them. And then now we've gotten to the point where our customers are running so many that we're all collectively learning from the trade craft, right? I hate giving away secrets, but I'll give away one. We have now gotten to the point where every serious live art show, and there's a million different ways to do them. There's everything from a flash sale that you can do in a day to more serious ones with serious pieces and everything in between. On the serious ones, we're now running 2. One is private in a Zoom session for just your collectors. It's intimate. It's not streamed anywhere. We invite them. It's wine, cheese, champagne, the velvet ropes, tuxedo time, baby. And then one for the regular public. That was a fantastic advancement. And you know what? One of our customers taught it to us. One of our customers taught it to us. That is one of the more profound takeaways. It's like you lead on a marketing technique and tactic. You learn all you can. You start running them with customers to get them over the line. You offer the service in the agency. Then all of your customers start running them. And then you huddle up after the fact and you say, what did we learn? That's
why I always say
profound system. Profound.
It is. And that's a part of the letter that I have that every new customer gets at Art Storefronts when you join Art Storefronts. You know, it's actually published on our blog, but I talk about, you know, the power of these network effects, right? That when, you know, the Art Storefronts community, along with us, all working on these businesses together, you know, everybody gets to benefit by, yes, we might come up with a tactic, but then once hundreds of people are running it, you get so much data and feedback instantly. And all of that comes back in, and the playbooks get revised, version 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, to where the tactical just gets better and better and better and better and better, you know? Right. And you compare that with trying to operate your business on an island, and what are you doing? It's pointless, right? So, and so those are the learnings, right? That's what happens when you're doing this, you know, at scale.
Yep. So as a takeaway, number one, single most impactful marketing technique I've ever seen. We are going to be continuing, doubling, tripling down on the various different advancements that we're doing, the playbooks that we're doing, how many of them we're running. And, you know, anybody that's been watching us for any period of time was like, all right, get it. Shut up about the live art shows. You never shut up about this. I am never going to shut up. I'm going to keep talking about it more and more and more and more. So that's number one. Number two, top 10 takeaways from 2021. And this sounds redundant, but I know on this stream, we've got everything from customers that have been with us for years to people that just discovered us yesterday and everyone in between, right? We learn things by rote. We have been talking about selling direct, okay? And why don't you just define selling direct for us?
Yeah, so you guys, there's essentially 2 types of business models, right? Selling direct, a direct business model, and an indirect. When you sell indirect, that's where you're selling through an intermediary to your customer, right? For example, art galleries, or whether they're offline or online, okay? So like the Fine Art America, art.com, any of those are online galleries. That's all they are. They're just like offline galleries. They just happen to be online. But there's an intermediary between you and the customer. So you don't get the customer information at the end of the day, okay? Their email address, their phone number, all of those things. So that you can market direct to them. They own the customer. That's the trick in this whole thing, guys. In business, you need to own your customers. If you don't, all you're getting is 1099 checks. And that is the source of the starving artist problem. That's gone back thousands of years. I call it a millennia-old problem that's never been solved. That this is obviously the mission of our company, is to solve it. But the indirect business model, whether you're using an art publisher, an agent, you're like, I just want somebody to sell my art for me, which nobody ever finds, right? But you're hoping that these third parties will do it, and then they give you a 1099, i.e. a commission check, right? But you own nothing at the end of the day. There's nothing that you can retire on, pass to your kids, anything, right? Or have consistent cash flow or income from. A direct business is the exact opposite of that. That's the business that you want, okay? That's where you own the customers, okay? You own your email list, you own everything, and you make the most money from your art, right? How do you do it? You directly market to your customers, i.e. on Facebook, Instagram, the different things, right? Everywhere. And it could be offline as well, right? We're big encouragers of growing your business offline. That's a big part of having a really successful business for a lot of people, right? So you're not like one dimensional, but you want to own your own distribution, okay? And that is the key with selling direct. Now, when you sell direct, you control your own destiny, okay? And again, what I'm talking about here, direct versus indirect business models, this is not just for artists and photographers. This is for every business that is out there. You talk to any successful entrepreneur that is out there, in any industry, and they will tell you, have a direct business model. Why? Because if all you have is indirect, you've built your house on sand, okay? And it will sink at some time. Whether that's galleries stop representing you, a pandemic happens, or your art goes out of style, which can happen, you have no control. You have no control over everything, and the rug will just get pulled out right from underneath you. When you own your own distribution, okay, and you're selling direct, it can never get pulled out from underneath you, ever. And every entrepreneur eventually learns the hard way. Usually you get the rug pulled out from underneath you and you go, what have I done? I've been building this business for 10 years and I've got nothing. I've got nothing anymore. I'm starting from scratch because they all dropped me, or things change, or the algorithm, which was favoring you, no longer does, right? All of those things can happen. So the direct business model, if you as an artist or a photographer, if you're starting out or for years, if you have not been focusing on building a direct business, you've been making the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake. This is the number one change you need to make. The number one, okay, is you need to be running a direct business model, and you need to take it very seriously. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not supposed to sell to galleries, Pat, or any of these other areas, if they're going to work for you, right? These are all that's a slice of the pie. But 80% to 100% of your business, right, should be direct. For some people, it's 100. For some people, it's 80. And when I say that, I'm giving you exact data of people that I know that are art storefronts members that I work with, okay, that we work with, that are selling $100,000 or more a year. That's what their business looks like. If you want to know what a really successful art or photography business looks like, that's what it looks like. Okay. They're selling direct, and about 80% or more of their sales are from direct marketing, and they've put in the work and they've built their business over 3 to 5 years to get there.
Yep. And I take it even further. Like, the dream, okay, that everyone is being sold as an artist or a photographer is your work is good. You get into galleries. You don't have to do any marketing. The galleries sell for you, okay, and you make an incredible living, right? That is one of the biggest lies ever told in the history of makeup.
Ever.
Okay? The number of artists or photographers that are making it with that model, in which they take a 50% haircut on every single solitary piece sold. They don't have to do any marketing. The galleries sell for them, regardless of what you think about that model. Okay. And I want to get into that in a second. That is working for less than 1%. When I say less than 1%, 0.04% is the number of people that are making a significant living that way, by which I mean superstar artists or photographers over $1 million a year in income. Okay.
That's literally data. That's literally like real data from like an art market report. That's not like
no.
guess. No. It's literally 0.04%, guys.
No.
Right?
And then
0.4%.
Let's take it down to the next level. That's over $1 million a year. the people that are making between 100 and 900 still does not take it to 1%. It is still a fraction of 1%. Those odds are as bad as playing the lotto. Would you play the lotto as your career? Do you know anyone that makes playing the lotto as a career? Yeah, one guy does. Two guys do, right? And yet this is the dream that is being sold to folks everywhere on how you make it, right? On how you're going to be successful as an artist. It is the biggest lie I have ever seen.
It's the biggest lie.
The gallery, or if you like, marketplace model is the single solitary most exploitative thing to an artist or a photographer I could ever see. If you think you're going to make it, let me put it this way. You play a sport, Nick? I play some sports. The odds of making it and having a successful in growing, budding career as an artist or a photographer going the gallery model is the same as you making it to the NBA, or you making it as a pro golfer, or me making it as a pro soccer player. And while I would love to hold out hope, okay, I'm well aware that that was not in the cards for me. God bless the ones that it is. God bless the ones that it is, right? The ones that have that true talent and on all the opportunities lined up. But what kills me is week in, week out, people coming into our ecosystem in various different stages with that as their aspirational goal. And no one tells them that when you get there, you have no stability in your business. You are not going to be growing that business successfully year after year after year. You do not retain the information on who's purchasing your work, and so you don't ever build a collector list. It is a path to failure. It is a luck balloon. It is aspirationally one of the fundamental, most broken things about this industry, and it's got to stop.
Yeah, it's got to stop. Exactly.
Anyway, we've been broken record on that one, but the takeaway on this one is, if you're not selling direct, I don't know how you make it in this business.
Yep, I don't. It's not just that. Okay, it's, we know that it works for a fact. And so when we're saying this, we're like, if we're dealing with 6,000 artists and photographers in the United States, right, who are, I would say, some of the best, most, motivated, right, to like try to build a business. And if we're seeing all of these people and all this data, and this is what we're telling you, these are like, here's the people that are successful, and here's what they're doing. And then we see the other side, and we see the lie there. It's really important to understand, like, this is an opportunity to change your business and adjust things and do it the right way. And you know what else? Pat, I've been saying this for years, and I'll say it again to everybody that's on here. Do you guys know what one of the most exciting things about this is? Perhaps the most exciting is that, and who knows why, but as new artists and photographers get into the business, they follow all these other unsuccessful people like sheep off a cliff, Pat. Yep. And they're like, oh, I guess I should just follow these people. I guess I should be in a gallery, right? Like, yep. I guess I should just like pursue trying to be in galleries, and I guess I should just upload my work to Fine Art America and Redbubble and every other online thing that every other person on literally the planet is doing. And that's all I got to do. I guess I should just do that, right? Yep. Yep. And all of them fail. And none of them do the one thing you need to do, which is just market direct and build a direct business like every other entrepreneur has to do in the country, right? In the world. There's no shortcut. Yep. There's no way around it. And so few of people are actually doing this, you guys, that it is blue ocean for you. It is a blue ocean opportunity. Everybody sits here and thinks, they go, hey, Nick, everybody's got a phone in their pocket these days, or anybody can be a painter. Well, of course, not anybody can be a painter. You need talent, right? But anybody has a phone in their pocket, and anybody can sell. How am I going to differentiate myself? I say, in this business, it is the easiest differentiator you've ever had in your life. There is almost no competition. Why? Because nobody is willing to do the marketing and the work like a real entrepreneur has to do to build a business. And so if you simply do that and make the decision to do that, okay, you will literally be in the 0.001%. That's it. I don't know. Here's the thing, guys. And being owner and CEO of Art Storefronts and seeing 6,000 members, I don't know if you will. I can't say that you will. I just gave you the information. Most of you won't do it. And Pat, is that not true? Even knowing this, 90% of you that are listening to this right now still won't do it, you know? And so the 10% of you that are listening that will, you know, or the other, you know, if the rest of you change your mind and you figure this out, that's how you're going to win.
Yep. 100%. And you know, I always say as a final, like, and then we'll move on to point number 3. Don't take it as a sales pitch. I don't care if you ever sign up for our storefronts. Okay, it does not matter to Nick and I. The important thing is that you understand the only way that you're going to make it is by selling direct. Absolute fact, absolute truth. You might get a little bit of success in a gallery and have a couple of good years, but long term, your business is exposed, and long term, you are setting yourself up for failure. It's just the numbers are just not there. Okay, on to lighter topics. Okay, so number 1 was live art shows. Number 2 from our top 10 takeaways for 2021 was selling direct. Number 3, merchandise.
This one, I'm ready to like start throwing items in the air because I am hot on this one. Wow, did we learn something here? Yeah. Did we learn something here? And you and I specifically. Okay.
Yeah, we have to define it. We have to define what merch is. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, most of you guys, and especially most of you that are, you know, that have signed up with us, your primary business is wall art. The primary products that you have are wall art and all the various different capacities, originals, limited editions, commissions, prints, whatever, right? Merchandise is a way of taking your artistic creations and putting them on different types of items that you can sell, right? And so merchandise can be calendars or yoga mats or puzzles or coasters or tote bags or any of the range, the myriad of things, okay? And that's merchandise in a nutshell. It's another way for creatives to take their creations and get them on a product so they're not just selling wall art, right? Easy definition.
Yes. Now to give a little bit of background to show everyone where you and I were at. Patrick and I years ago were in the camp of, gosh, you know, if you're selling fine art, you know, like you're doing that, like, merch. I don't know. We were against it. Yep. Hey, I'll just come out and say it. We were against it. We were like, no, this is not really the right way. Open-minded always, because you have to be as a good business person, right? Mm-hmm. You've got to be willing to like see the new data and not just be like dug in heels. And so we were that way, but for years we resisted it. We resisted it. Wow, were we wrong?
Yeah,
boy.
And all the same arguments that everyone has, right? It's cheap. These tchotchkes are going to devalue the quality and the caliber of the person's work, right? And I have a really, really great episode on this that I need to share. I got to get it in the chat. But the takeaway of it is, and we can do multiple different takeaways, but name me a museum you've been to that doesn't have a gift shop. Name me a concert you've been to that doesn't sell merchandise. There are only 2 types of creatives in the world, okay? The creatives that figured out the importance of merchandise and those that have not, right? And the ones that do don't ever stop selling it. And do you know what the ones that do? They don't complain about whether or not it is cheap stuff or it's tchotchke or it's kitschy or it's swag or it's lowering their volume, because they are business owners that understand the more items you have in your store, the greater profitability that you're going to have, okay? Why do realtors send all of us notepads, okay, with their faces on them? Why do they do that? That's cheap. That's cheesy, right? It's all just marketing.
Because it works.
All just marketing. That's it, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing, though. Here's the big learnings that I had. Number 1 was that, you know, the merchandise items, when you're talking about calendars, coasters, mm-hmm. right? And I'm not even like, I'm not even going to like mugs and all that, even though like, you know, people are selling these things, shirts, t-shirts, mm-hmm. sweatshirts, go down the list. Like for me, I'm like, you know, I'm still kind of on that fine art side a bit, right? And I'm like, there's items like puzzles, those are pretty solid, you know? Calendars, they're like fine art calendars, amazing, right? Coasters, quality item, you know what I mean? Like there's, you know, we've been suggesting to our artists, like doing limited edition coasters. Like that's how you can like, you know, you could spice these things up and like all of a sudden it's a a higher priced item. You know, you could price these things way higher if you're gonna make them special like that. But the most important thing, the number one thing, is that these are items that are impulse items. They're gift items, Pat. They don't require an empty wall space. So that means as you're doing marketing, there's people who can buy from you the first day that they find you. That is a big deal. That is a big deal. And if they have these items, like you said, on their desk, you know what I mean, or whatever it is, they're going to become more, you know, in love with you or more entrenched in you and your world as an artist, right? Because they got something from you. It's called commitment bias, guys. There's actually like a psychological term for it, commitment bias. Okay, they buy something from you. They like want to reinforce their belief that they made a good decision and that it feels good, and so they will do that. Okay. Now the second thing is, again, going back to success, right? Do you guys want to know what the most successful artists and photographers on art storefronts are doing? They're actually offering these things, and some of them, you know, and I the names come to mind, started this Q4 and started selling calendars only, and just crushed it. There you go. That's an example of one of the art storefronts, you know, automated fulfillment calendars. Show the paper on it. I want people to see the actual paper thickness. This is not like cheesy calendar. This is a fine art calendar. It's like I want to say it's like probably like a 200 or 250 gram, you know, weight paper. Not like you know, the cheesy calendar that you would buy at like you know, where Kohl's or yeah, anywhere that they're selling them. So the whole point is, if you're really on the fine art side, you can actually transition to these items, the high-end looking ones, right? And get into these impulse items and the merch and take advantage of this stuff and actually sell quite a bit. Because I'm telling you, like, some of the people that I'm thinking of in Q4, they sold $10,000, $20,000 worth of calendars, right? And these are people who sell like $100,000 a year. And so to add about 10% out of nowhere, right, with these items is just high margin, is just huge, absolutely huge. So those are my takeaways on merch.
Yeah, I had such a profound shift, such a tweak in my thinking. And you know, as a marketer, I should have known better. But we talked earlier about, you know, some of these mental traps that we fall into, right? And the thought that you're going to make it as a fine artist or a fine art photographer going the gallery model is one that everyone's being sold, right? Another one that everyone is being sold is that, and this is the perfect example of like when an artist or a photographer attempts to boost a post or tries to run Facebook ads for the first time and immediately announces the sale and doesn't see an ROI, loses money on the ads, and they can't figure out why. And the mental trap that we all fall into is thinking that everyone follows us, everyone out there has their arm up right now saying, I need art, right? Like I have a need to put something on my wall right now. And nothing can be further from the truth. Almost very few actually have their hand up saying, I need art right now. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to need art in 6 months or a year or 5 years or 10 years or whatever the case may be. But not everyone has their hand up right now. That's just not the way that this business works. That's number one. Number two, everyone's price points are usually too high. Very few people that I look at, and you can be an artist, you can be a photographer, truly understand the importance of having things priced from low to high. Okay. Everyone needs to contemplate the range and the variability that they have in their pricing. And then the number three, like the most important, and I should have known this as a marketer, you would think I would know better. I spent my life attempting to get people's attention, right? One of the easiest ways to do that is you do that in a digital capacity, right? You send emails and you do social posts and you do live broadcasts and everything else. And I just might get your attention. I'm pretty effective at it, actually. But when you look at something like this, okay, as a digital marketer, a calendar, right? And let's say you're selling these things for $20 or $40 or $50 or $30, whatever you want to do, your price point is. I now look at this is a Facebook ad that I've just bolted onto somebody's wall.
I love it.
I've just bolted a Facebook ad onto somebody's wall. You, by offering these, okay, can now bolt a Facebook ad onto somebody's wall 365 days a year. I can't do that as a marketer. I can't do that as a marketer, but this thing can. This thing
Yeah.
can, and insert whatever you want, the coasters, the pillows, the yoga mats, the whatever else. All it is marketing, you guys. All it is keeping you, the artist, you, the photographer, top of mind in this person's head all year long, such that when they do raise their hand and say, I'm ready to buy art, you're the one that they're going to think of. And that takeaway is not a takeaway that most people have. In fact, it's not a takeaway that most people understand. You and I didn't understand it. And so, are you going to become filthy rich by selling merchandise, low margin, low price point stuff? No, you're not. Not unless you're one of the just selling an incredible volume. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, you guys. The merchandise is just marketing. It's just marketing, and it's one of the most powerful marketings that you could possibly have. So, huge learnings on this. I think. What do we start offering this year? How many products do we have to? Do you even know? I don't even know what the count is.
I don't know.
20?
There's so many.
25?
There's so many. I mean, we got ornaments going, which we're selling,
Yeah.
like for the holidays. I mean, there's a ton.
Yeah,
There's a ton.
we're going to end up adding more and more and more and more and more and more and more because it is so insanely important. I always joke, if they start allowing hot air balloons, we'll allow the hot air balloons, right? Because you and I, Nick and I owned a business many years ago. Do you realize how difficult merch was then? This is important.
So hard.
You had to order minimums. You had to come out of pocket. You had to inventory the stuff yourself. And then you had to give it away, sell it, and try and move it all. And even a couple of years ago, that was the reality of merchandise, okay, for you guys. And guess what? It's not anymore. It is now utterly, totally, and completely the realm of POD, of print on demand, meaning no minimums, no inventory needed, right? You can get one order. Someone will print the one order, ship the one order. That's totally fine. That was not our world when we were coming up. And that is a big deal. That's a big deal. So,
and there's a comment from Robert on Facebook. He's saying calendars worked well for some of our customers, right? And
yeah.
I have to make a comment on this. The reason that we even created automated fulfillment calendars is because for the last couple of years, calendars were selling like crazy on our platform. Okay, we get the data and the reports coming through of what's selling on our platform, you guys, and we saw that this was happening. But our customers, our Art Storefronts members, were buying calendars the way that Pat was talking about, where they bought minimums, right? They bought 50 or 100 of these things, and they were fixed dates. It would be like a 2022 calendar, and they were selling them like crazy. And so eventually we were like, everybody needs to be selling these things, right? And that's why we already told everybody, hey, you need to be selling these. You need to be selling these. And probably a year later, we created automated fulfillment calendars, right? That's the way things go here at Art Storefronts, right? Like, it's not just a theory or whatever when we're talking about this. We start seeing these things happening. It's really happening. It's real sales, real information. And then we update our software, our websites and everything around that to maximize sales for every Art Storefronts artist and photographer who has a website with us.
Yeah, so we're gonna continue to be ranting about it. I have a really good video on merchandise too. I gotta figure out a way to share all these things after the fact. I think if you're on our email list, you'll get it. But anyway, so those are the first 3 points from the top 10 takeaways from 2021. Next on the list is perspective. Okay, is perspective, and this one is so insanely important, so incredibly powerful. And Nick mentioned earlier 8 years of this business, right? Now we have some perspective. Right now, we have 8 years of data to see what it looks like. And I realized that if there's one thing that makes me happier in my day-to-day job here than anything else, it's when somebody in their 20s comes onto the Art Business Workshop and is asking questions about how I grow my business and what I'm going to do. And, it immediately just makes me think of having a financial mentor that gets to an employee that's just starting their work life out and saying, hey, I noticed you weren't maxing out your 401k. You weren't taking the complete company match on your 401k, right? And then the joy that person has when they get you to do it, right? When they get you to start contributing regularly. And the joy that financial mentor has is knowing the power, okay, of regular and incremental savings spread over a lifetime of working and invested, right? That is how wealth is built. In this business, you know, the list that we have here, these 10 things, when somebody in their 20s comes on and I sink my hooks into them and get to say, these are the things that you need to be doing, essentially this list, and they start that practice in their 20s, I've got to see all of the people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s that are coming on the workshops on a regular basis, and they didn't know these things, right? And they weren't practicing these things year after year after year after year. We are sold such a false bill of goods in this world, thanks in large part to social media, of young kids and people on jets and Mercedes and the leather bags and the necklaces and all the rest of the nonsense. And we look at that and we think it's normal. We don't realize the sheer amount of time that we have to spend in the trenches to actually build a successful business. But then I also get the other side of it, which is people in your business. Okay, you creatives, you don't retire. You're going to be running this business for the rest of your life. So you have to have the context of how much time you have left in your art selling lives, in your photography selling lives, to get these things right. If you just get these things right and you work on them consistently, your business is actually going to grow year over year over year. So this notion that 3 months in or 6 months in or a year in, you're supposed to be selling $200,000 worth of art every year and taking 5 vacations and having the umbrella drinks in the limo and the private jet is just, it is so damn cancerous. It kills me. Right.
Yeah.
So I love the perspective angle on in the perspective argument, a number of different angles. And, you know, give me a final on this and I'll pass it back to you. But when we set the proper expectations of how long it takes, you have people that are hungry, that are motivated, that are not complaining, that are not quitting, that are focusing, that are grinding it out, especially those first couple of years. And it's been one of the biggest and most profound shifts when we are able to put the perspective into our customers' heads when they sign up day one. You got 3 to 5 years until this thing really starts cooking, right? And when you find that out, you mentally get in a place where 30 months in, you've worked on your marketing, you're not getting the results that you want, and we're here to tell you, totally normal, keep going. Totally normal, keep going. And everyone that's listening to this that's not a customer, and many are, their entire artistic careers, and especially now, this is so poignant right now because it's the beginning of the year, their entire artistic careers have consisted of a New Year's resolution that was no different than going to the gym. This is going to be my year. I'm going to go to the gym. You sign up for the gym membership in January. You're going 4 days a week. By the time we get to March, you've gone once, right? You've gone once in the entire month of March. And that's the nature of resolutions. And that's the nature of resolutions that everybody sets with their marketing. This is going to be my year. You work at it for 3 months. You don't get the results that you want. You blame someone, yourself. Art doesn't sell. My mom was right. This is only ever going to be a hobby, and you quit. The perspective, you guys, of how possible, how incredible this business can be if you stay at it for the years it is one of the most important, impactful things, not just from this year, every year, every year. Yeah, see, Karen's like, haha, so true. Trust me, I know. I talk to hundreds of you guys in a week. It's everybody, which is why we have to continue to bang on it with the drum, right? Like, it's hard. It's hard. We know.
Yep, and that's why I go back to what I said earlier, which is, for the perspective, this is a 3 to 5 year game. Building any business, I don't care what industry you're in, everyone knows it who's built businesses before. It's 5 years, really. When I say 3, I'm kind of like, throwing you a little carrot to make you think that you're going to be like flying in year 3. You're probably not. You're probably not going to be. You're going to see real results in year 3. But
Big
it's
wins.
year 5.
Big wins. Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna see big wins in year 3. But like, you're gonna be like, because the thing is, you can't choke your business. Like, you got to invest in the business, right? And like, as you start seeing successes, you need to invest in the business to grow it. You don't want to choke it. And by choking it, I mean, like, people just take the money right out of the business as soon as good things start happening, Pat. When what you need to do is properly equip yourself and get advantages, right? Like, you get the right technology, like your customer experience is better. Your marketing just needs to continue improving and leveling up. That's how you're going to compound, the initial traction, the initial success that you had. But at the end of the day, you're only playing against yourself, guys.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. You think that this is a battle against the competition and the market and the gallery or whatever else and everybody else that's out there. It is you versus you. Can you actually have the perspective and persevere. And if you sell 2 or 3 grand your first year, you know, can you mentally endure that? And then if you sell 7 grand your next year, are you like, I'm a failure? I'm a failure when you actually just grew over 100% and you're getting way closer to having traction, you know, because you have to, this is what most people don't understand, Pat. What does year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 usually look like? On the average, right? And I'm talking about any industry, right? Like of like individual entrepreneurs, you might sell, you know, 5 grand your first year. I'm just coming up with a number. It could be 15, it could be 2, right? Yeah. And some people are smarter at business than other people. They're going to do better. Sorry, they're going to make better decisions. It's not just about your product, okay? They're going to work harder. They're going to be better entrepreneurs. They're going to do better. They could sell 50 grand in their first year, you know? But it's usually, you know, you have your first year, your second year is a little bit better, right? And then your third year really ramps. Why? Because it takes a while to figure out what is resonating in the market with you and your art. It's both of those things. If they're not separate, right? You marketing your own art, you got to figure out how it works. And it takes some time and experimentation to get that to happen. And so that's how it is. And so at the end of the day, it's you versus you. You're basically your mind, right? Can you persevere through it? Can you not fall for the lunacy and the lies of that if you didn't sell $100,000 in your first year, like, you know, that you should consider yourself a failure, right? Because everybody else that's selling 100 grand or more, they all had to do it. It was never easy for them. I'm sorry. I don't know anyone that it was easy for. I don't.
No.
Everyone that is selling $100,000 or more on our platform struggled for years, sometimes for a decade, Pat, until they figured it out, right?
I hate to say it, they're even struggling now, right? Because they want that business to go to 500 grand a year, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I love talking about that person in their 20s, right? Like if you can do your 5 to 7 years of grind in your 20s, do you know how golden your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s are going to be? My word, right?
Yep.
A lot of people are asking where this list is going to be after the fact. No matter what platform you're watching on, the minute it's done, the video will be right there. You can come back to it. I realize people have got things going on and things to do. But as a final on perspective, and another one of my biggest takeaways is 50% of what we do is under the umbrella of support. It's support. And what do I mean by that? Yes, it's tech support. Yes, it's emotional support. All right. I'm not kidding when I say that. Emotional support. Yes, it's bucking you up when you are down. Yes, it's saying the pain of growing this business right now that you're going through is completely normal, right? It is 100% the case, and it will never not be the case. And everyone that's listening to this, it's not a customer, and many of you that are customers, you know as well as anyone, you are solopreneurs. This is a lonely road. Okay. You are going to have many times throughout the year where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Why do I keep doing this? I'm going to quit. This is a hobby. No one's buying art, and the myriad of excuses that everyone gives themselves. But when you have a support structure in place, when you are at your very lowest and someone comes down and picks you up and say, hey, I've been down there before. I know what you're feeling, and get you moving forward. That is the path to success. That is the path. And everyone that is on here that's not and has been through this, how many times have you had a situation where throughout your artistic career, you're like, I've just lost all my energy. I can't keep going. I'm done. I just can't. I'm going to give it up for now, right? It happens all the time. So the perspective is a very, very important one. Okay. Next up, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we're on to number 5. Okay. The collector list. And I've got a great tee up on this because Nick and I read this book, okay, 5 years ago, right? And when I read it, it's by Weiland, okay? Anyone that watches any of my broadcasts knows I put this thing up unsolicited. I'd like to think I've sold thousands of books for him, okay? I put this thing up unsolicited every single solitary week because of the wisdom in this, right? You and I read this book 5 years ago, and we're like, wow, the wisdom on this is profound, right? And what does he talk about in here? The collector list. And what does he define a collector list as? Essentially, it's someone that's purchased your art before, okay? And by selling direct, you know who this person is, right? And so you have the ability to market to this person in perpetuity. You have the ability to send this person Christmas cards every single solitary year. Yes, I'm not kidding. You have the ability to send this person personalized emails from time to time. And while he talked about the importance of it, and when you and I read this book 5 years ago, because I think it came out in 2016, I think. Yeah, 2016. Now 5 years later, we've got to see it play out time and time again with our customers. And I would go as far to say, and I have said many, many times, that the size and health of a collector list, the health is just how often you're interacting with it, is the number one most representative stat on how big the business is and how fast the business is growing. Straight up, full stop.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, it's an incredible thing that we've realized with this, you know, treating the collectors appropriately, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from a marketing standpoint, and the impact that that has, you know, and obviously, like, that's a whole marketing, you know, approach, playbook, or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
but I have to say, just as myself as a consumer, I love being a collector. I love it. I absolutely love it. And so I get it, Pat. I absolutely get it. Like, it is very cool to be like in the unique group with that artist, and you get the first access to everything, and you're on special, you know, all the special things that are done for it. It really is cool, you know? And so I love it.
Okay. We're gonna speed things up because Nick's got to go, but this won't be the last time that we bang on the list and rant about it, because it's the list. So we'll come back to the collector list more in future episodes. The next one, okay, is hand-to-hand combat, right? And hand-to-hand combat, are another way to say it, is the things that don't scale, right? It's writing somebody a personalized thank you note rather than sending a generic personalized thank you email, right? It is when somebody writes you a message on Instagram, you immediately reply and you immediately get into a Zoom call. It is having face-to-face video chats with potential customers and buyers. It's doing all the things that nobody wants to do. And another one of these lies that we're sold, okay, that infuriate me on a daily basis, is this notion that the internet, what it's brought to us, is passive income. That all we have to do is throw our art up on a website and it's going to sell when we sleep, and we're not going to have to be involved in any human interaction with our prospective buyers, right? And the thing that infuriates about this is, one, how prolific that is out there in the world, right? It's the same lie that's being sold in the marketplaces. You just upload your art to the marketplaces. You
don't do anything.
Yeah, you don't do anything, and the dollars just keep pouring in. Well, show me the person where the dollars keep pouring in, because I've talked to hundreds and almost no one says that they're making anything resembling an income on the marketplace. This isn't about the marketplace. If you owned an art gallery, Nick, a retail art gallery in your town, and the doors were open and you were inside of it, and I came walking in, would you come up to me and ask if I had any questions?
100%.
And yet no one does that.
Yep, and there's a reason why whenever you walk into Macy's, Nordstrom, and, you know, any department store or any professional retail store, the first thing that happens is someone comes and asks you, you know, hey, can I help you? Can I help you find something? It works. That is the reason that they do it, you know?
Yep.
And it's like, you think that doesn't work. It works. And they do it every time because of that.
Yep. And yet the lie that we're fed is that we don't have to do that because we have a digital operation and the website does it for you. But what you don't realize, it is the single solitary most impactful thing you could possibly do. You, the artist or the photographer, replying personally to emails. You, the artist or photographer, replying personally to Facebook comments, to Instagram comments, to jumping into video chats with people, to being willing to get on a phone call or start a text message relationship, or maybe it's in Messenger. Collectively, these things are hand-to-hand combat. And I would argue it is more impactful to spend 1 hour of your time one-on-one with a prospective buyer than it is to think that your social media post is going to reach thousands. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the most impactful thing you can do in the business.
If you get a question like that looks like a buying question, somebody's actually interested in something, they're like, hey, is that like, you know, how thick is that piece? Or, you know, is this or that? Like, take those seriously and help that person. Offer to get on a Zoom call to show them and walk them through anything. That's what we're talking about here. You're not playing to the masses, right? When you get those warm leads, take advantage of it, treat them like a real person, and get them across the finish line.
You have a really
hand-to-hand combat.
You have a really concrete example on this with who.
Yeah, I can't mention the name, but one of our most successful painters. Yeah, one of our most successul painters. Like this.
You ran a marketing initiative. You ran a marketing initiative.
I ran a market.
You turned this stone up, and what did you see?
This guy sells a lot, and this just shows you how much he's leaving on the table. He's getting direct messages and comments of people asking buying questions, and it's like somebody asked a question like I just mentioned, like, hey, does this come in like 47 by like 48 by 60 or something like that? And he's like, yes. That's it. He just responded with yes, and I'm like, I'm about to say his name, but I'm like, what are you doing? This guy is like, this person is like on the fence right here.
Yes.
It's yes. I'd be more than happy to show it to you. You want to hop on a Zoom call here? I'm free tomorrow at 9, 11, 2, and 4. Pick one, and we can go over it. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions and show you some of my other favorite pieces. Right?
Yes.
That is a warm lead. Get it across the finish line. Otherwise, just like all of us, you notice you got the tab open, and you get away from it, and the next thing you know, you're buying something else. Happens every single day. You think that person is there. Yeah, that person will get sucked away, and they'll buy something else, and you lose the sale. It happens every single day. Sorry, if you get a warm lead, you got to get into hand-to-hand combat, and you got to close it.
I'm flowing right now. I want to finish the list, not impeded. So I know you're a little.
No. Let's go.
You want to keep going? Yeah. So that's 6 in the books. Okay, we have 6 to go. The next one, and this one we don't need to go long on. The email list, Nick. The basics still work, and it's just about leads. I mean, we call it the email list. We call it leads. It has been the bread and butter of everyone's business. It will be the bread and butter of everyone's business. You have to be growing it regularly. I mean, this is your favorite one to rant on, but
it's my favorite.
Nothing's changed in 2021.
I'm jumping out of my seat.
Go.
Yeah. Well, number one, doesn't matter how many followers you have. Okay. Facebook, Instagram, these platforms, guys, in 5 or 10 years, who knows if we'll even be on them, right? We all know that. Like they come and go. They will come and go. And the only thing that you own is the email addresses that you acquire, the phone numbers, too. Those are the only things, because you can take these things with you from platform to platform, right? Like if you want to show warm ads to people that are on your email list, you upload the email list and you show ads to that email list. But you got to have the emails in order to do that. And you can do that on, various different platforms, right? And then, of course, you can email, your list directly almost for free. You have to pay like a monthly fee to MailChimp or whatever mail provider that you're using, right? But what I always say is, when anybody asks me like, hey, what's wrong with my art business? Can you take a look at my art business and tell me what's going on? I just want to see the size of your email list and how it's grown over the last like 12 months. That's it. It'll tell me exactly how much marketing you're doing, how effective you are, and how much better your business is getting. Because if you are not acquiring emails on a regular basis and your list isn't growing, your business is stagnant. Your marketing is not working, or you're not doing it, right? That's more often the case. People are more often not doing enough of the marketing, or they're doing it wrong, or there's something wrong. But like that, it is the number one gauge of the health and success of an art business is the size of that email list, right? I can go back 2 years if I want to. I can go back 6 months or a year. It's going to tell me everything I need to know about what's going on with your business.
Yep. I mean, we could go on for the email list for years and years and years, but just to finish it off it's why just about everything that we recommend fundamentally at the metric of success is how many emails did you capture? You're doing a live show? How many emails did you capture? You're doing a live streamed show? How many emails did you capture? You're doing a print giveaway? How many emails did you capture, right? Because we know if we get our customers constantly growing the email list year over year over year, business is going to grow year over year.
If you're doing a in-person art fair, art show, how many emails did you collect? You should be collecting 50 to 100 per show that you do.
Yep. So that's the email list. Next up on the list are Instagram and Facebook are the two most dominant social media platforms that every artist and every photographer has to be on. Okay. That sounds very simple, right? That sounds very simple. But if you are not on both of them and you are not marketing actively on both of them, you are not leveraging the two biggest art selling platforms in the world. Okay. People love to talk to me about Pinterest and TikTok and Twitter and anywhere else when you're ignoring, okay, the fact that these two remain, and it's really one platform because it's Meta now, right? But they remain the most important place that you need to be marketing. I really just like Instagram. Do I need to have a Facebook business page, Patrick? Yes, you do. Okay.
Yes.
I really just like Facebook. Can I just ignore Instagram? I don't like the fact that they're censoring people or they're censoring political views or this or that. Nick, I'm a fisherman and I don't like the way the fish make my hands smell. Guess what? It is a part of doing business if you want to be successful, right? They remain the two most important platforms. Okay. They are selling tons of art. They will sell tons of art in 2022. I don't want to have to go on about it too much. You need to be on both of them. You need to get better at marketing on both of them. You need to be posting regularly. You need to be using shots, you merchandising yourself. You need to be running live art shows. And these are the two platforms that work. Okay. We all can have our issues with them or love them or be anywhere in between, but the writing on the wall is very clear. I don't want to hear about anything else if you've not maxed these two out. Do not lie to me and tell me you're on TikTok. I don't give a damn if you're getting 10 million views. Okay. That is BS. And TikTok is not selling art, not at the rate that these two are. So if you have not maxed these two out, what you're doing is saying you might be having fun over there, but you are not growing a serious business. You are wasting your time because it makes you feel good. Okay. And I'm sorry to be stern about this, but our job is to create successful artists and photographers. And that starts with Instagram and Facebook. It just does. It's not going to change. Okay. If it changes, I will be doing an Irish jig and I can't dance. Okay. But it's not the case. They're the two most important platforms. Please just understand that and please be marketing on them.
And look, the data supports it, right? It's the number of hours per day that are on Facebook and Instagram is just insane, yes. Right? And guys, one of the things that really like crystallized the thinking for me over the years, because it's like you hear about these different platforms. You're like, well, there's Twitter and there's TikTok, and there's Twitch and there's, all these different things. But like, which one of those has the family photos, the photos of the kids that people are posting, their vacations and all of that? It's Facebook and Instagram. And that's where the parents want to go because they want to see their kids, when they're posting pictures of their grandchildren or, things like that. That's where friends are going to check out things like that. That's why those platforms are getting the maximum amount of attention, because there's things that every individual is interested in seeing every day is mainly on there. Yeah, you go to TikTok to get entertained and laugh, but like at the end of the day, it's going to be Facebook and Instagram where most of that stuff is happening. And so that's why they have the hours of time that people are spending on it is insane. And so the way that I think about it is, until there's another platform that actually starts taking over that, right? They're going to be the dominant players. And so that's where you need to be.
Yeah. Yep. Number, I think 8. I don't know. 9. QR codes are a big deal. QR codes are a big deal. This is one of those really, really weird things in life, right? Because like a lot of technologies that have come and gone, QR codes and the hype when these things launched probably like 15 years ago, right? They were going to be the be all end all. And then we started getting data points from Asia in which they're on everything and everyone is using their phone and scanning them to buy things and to opt into things and get catalogs and everything else. And that just wasn't the case in the US. I mean, we've had the QR code feature for like 3 years now. No one was really using them. Somewhere during the course of COVID, almost all restaurants in America started moving towards a QR code menu, and that did it.
Everyone had to learn to use it,
Waiter, waitress, could I get a menu, please? No, it's on your table. Oh, no,
the code.
No, it's on it. And then the first time we all had to do it, right? I still do it now. Where's that damn menu? Oh, it's on the table. I scan it, right? Or it's there and I scan it. And once that happened, once 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, teens, every decade had to start scanning them, now everyone knows what to do with them. And if you are an artist that has in-person sales going on, or if you're an artist that has your art in a restaurant, or if you're an artist that is putting out catalogs, okay, or any type of physical medium that's not in a digital capacity, and even sometimes in a digital capacity, you don't understand how powerful it is to have somebody scan it and instantaneously be able to get on your email list, or instantaneously be taken to the product right in your store, or instantaneously be able to go to your live art show page, right? Or instantaneously go to your contact form. It is a big, big deal. It is tuned. It is changed. We have our customers running them on everything. You can do paper catalogs of them. You can put them on things like letters. You can put them on stickers. There is a myriad of ways that you can use these in promotional materials. And now, for the first time in our lives, every American understands how to do it. And every American is walking around with a QR code scanner. That is a big deal. And that happened while everyone was sleeping, and not enough people are talking about it. And it is going to fundamentally change the way that our customers already has in 2021, but will also in 2022, just based on the new features that we have coming out with QR codes and how easy it is to do.
Yep.
Done and done.
Yep.
Next one, number 10, in-person shows. In-person shows, right? Now, despite the fact that COVID is raging right now, okay, raging right now, for the majority of 2021, for most of our customers, it wasn't as bad. And so in-person shows opened back up, and it's really opened my eyes, especially when you understand how to get the most ROI out of an in-person show, how powerful and impactful they can be for an art business. Okay. And let me just say briefly that we sort of look at how to grow an art business no different than you would a balanced diet. And in a balanced diet, you eat a myriad of different foods to keep yourself happy and your system happy and healthy. I feel like the in-person shows, if you can pull them off, obviously geographical oddities and such aside, if you can pull them off, are part of the balanced diet of growing an art or photography business, right? Now, we have very in-depth playbooks on how to capture emails at a live art show, on how to leverage QR codes in your booth at a live art show, about how to run a live stream art show in your in-person art show and in your booth, right? And these various different techniques after the fact, how to get the most out of them. But we continue to see customers dropping 50, 60, 70, 100, 500 emails to their list in a weekend show, right? In addition to the selling that they're doing, in addition to the sales that they get after the fact, in addition to the sales that they're getting from the live art show that they do in the booth, for the people that couldn't attend the show in person. So they're part of a balanced diet. I don't know what else
Which
to
is
say.
amazing. Yeah, and just so everybody understands, when we're talking about like in-person shows, I mean, I don't even know if that's like the best terminology for it, because I just want to make sure like everybody really gets this. So you've got your local, festivals, right, that are probably ran in your town or your city, like down on Main Street or whatever. So it includes those, but it also includes anywhere else that you can set up a booth or a table and sell. Okay. I was at a thing like probably a month ago. My daughter was, dancing, and she's like 9 years old. Right. So her and her dance team had like a little dance at this festival that was at a church, right? Like on their grass at this church. And Pat, there had to be like 300 people there. And and so there was like a band playing, there was a couple different tents. And then there was, there was one booth that had a necklace maker, one booth that was selling like local honey, right? And then like another one that was selling hats. And I sat there and I just go, this is unbelievable. Like there's probably 20 people at the jeweler's booth, right? Like, and they just got free attention. And there's nobody else there. Anybody could have got a booth there. Any artist or photographer could have got a booth there for probably like $50 donated to the event or something like that, or $100, right? And had all that attention and no competition. In Austin here in Texas, there's these breweries. They're always having events. Every time I go to these things, there's always like 3 crafters that are there. There's never a photographer or a painter. I don't get it. I've been ranting about this for years, as you know. But these are all opportunities that you guys have that are in person that you should be taking advantage of. And it's all that I love these unique ones that are happening at like these restaurants, like I mentioned, these breweries, and like these, whether it's like a church festival or something else, because it's the main ones that are down on like Main Street that are more crowded. You're going to have 50 or 100 different artists and photographers. The other ones you might get in front of 2, 3, 4, or 500 people in a couple of hours at one of these other places, and there's nobody else there. But Pat, no artists and photographers are like almost ever there. I'm telling you, like, I've been to so many of these over the last couple of years, and it's like, it's not even 9 out of 10 times. I'm going to say like 19 out of 20 times there isn't a painter or a photographer there. It's usually crafters and jewelers. And I'm like, this is just like blue ocean for somebody to come in here and capture 100 emails in one shot in one day, probably, and sell a couple $1,000s worth of their art and their merchandise. Low hanging fruit, especially if you're like starting out and you don't have a big email list. Like, you got to take advantage of these things. There is an arbitrage right there, and no one's doing it. Pat, again, I go back to the competition thing that I was saying earlier. No competition, right? So if there are millions and millions of artists and photographers out there, guys, and everybody's got a phone in their pocket, why is no one doing these things?
I know.
Why is nobody doing these things? There's nobody out there. There is no competition. This is a joke. It is the easiest thing in the world to just start taking advantage of, but nobody is doing it. No one's doing it. Even Art Storefronts members, when I do this on our private member workshops and I talk about these things, a lot of them are doing it, but many are still not. And Pat, you know it too. It's like with the live art shows. It's like, what percentage are actually, I mean, we've gotten a larger percentage to do the live art shows, but there's still a decent percentage that still aren't doing it because they're afraid of going live, or
100%.
they're too busy or whatever it is. And it's like, look, it's there for you guys. If you want it, it's there. We're giving it to you right now. It's there. I'm waiting, and I'm in Austin. This is a city that's very vibrant, very creative, very artsy, right? I can't wait till the day happens, Pat, that I see 5 artists and photographers. It's probably when Art Storefronts gets to 100,000 customers, members, because it's the members that are going to do it, right? That are on the inside, that are really executing on these things and get these things. But I can't wait till the day is there that I go to one of these breweries or something, and there's the 3 crafters that are always there, and then there's 5 artists and photographers. 5, not just one. There's 5, and then I'm like, okay, this is starting to get a little more crowded. But 5 is nothing. It's still nothing. There could be 20 there, So I can't wait till that day comes, because then that people are actually like running these businesses well and taking it seriously.
2 final points quickly on the art shows and the fairs. Number 1. You have to understand, the smart artist knows some are going to be home runs and some are going to be duds. And that's just the lay of the land, right? And so when you know that, you realize, okay, I have to do a couple of these. I mean, we recommend at least 1 a quarter if you can do them. Some people are doing like 50, right? And some people are doing whatever. But you can't just do 1. The odds are not there, right? Like you have to have a couple built in. That's number 1. Number 2, the smart artist, the smart marketer, the smart photographer knows, by being engaged in active marketing, you can do a show and lose day 1 and then make it up with a consistent marketing after the fact. I mean, we had a customer in our Facebook group that popped a $15,000 sale, and everyone was asking him, how'd you do that? What was the marketing technique or tactic that worked? And the guy replied, it was an email I got at a show 2 years ago. Now, I went back and asked him, I was like, were you profitable at the show? He goes, no. He goes, no, I lost $250. He lost $250 to pop a $15,000 sale on a $150 booth fee later down the line. So when you understand that part of the balanced diet, when you add them in, when you don't worry about how you're going to do it every single solitary one, but you capture the marketing ability to get those emails and you continue to nurture them, big deal. So we're going to be talking more about those in 2022.
And Eddie Davis he just dropped a comment. He's a member, so I got to give him some alpha right here. Eddie, okay, the breweries in Austin, Texas: Jester King, Treaty Oak, Central Machine Works, which is downtown. All of those, okay. And then the festival that I went to where my daughter was dancing was held at a Catholic church in Dripping Springs. Okay, just look it up. There's probably only one that's there in Dripping Springs, but you'll see it from about 30 days ago.
Okay. So that's our top 10 list, the top 10 takeaways from 2021. But because we're feeling beneficent, okay, we're gonna have a couple bonus points, right? And so we have 2 bonus ones. I'm a marketer. You have to use a buzzy headline. So that's where the top 10 comes from. If you fell for it, I apologize. Okay, that's what I do for a living. Now, number 11 bonus one: pivots/experiments. pivots / experiments.
Guys, this is a big one. This is a big one. Go ahead, Pat.
Which is another one of these dangerous tropes, traps, pitfalls that is endemic in this industry. And you, the artist, you, the photographer, okay, you've been told your entire life, create what inspires you, create what you enjoy, and then you go and take the product to market, okay? And it's crickets, or the response is very lukewarm. And immediately you take that criticism and you say, the pangs of self-doubt enter, and they come in, and you say, maybe I'm just not talented enough, or maybe art doesn't sell, or maybe this should have been a hobby. It's only going to be a hobby for me. And you quit, right? And you quit. And what kills me is nowhere in art school or photography school do they teach one of the most important lessons you could possibly learn, which is this business, and being successful in this business is about how many arrows you fire. Okay. You can't fire one arrow and think you're going to hit a bullseye and your life is going to be glorious, right? You have to fire a bunch of different arrows. And when you look at any creative endeavor, the ones that are the most successful are the ones that are constantly trying new things. They're constantly trying new things and constantly experimenting. And I see so many people fail and quit because they don't understand this lesson. When Pablo Picasso died, he had 45,000 unsold works in his inventory. What do you think he was doing, Nick? He was firing a bunch of arrows, and guess what? Some of them didn't even hit the target. Some of them went into the neighbor's yard. Okay. All normal part of this business. And the most successful customers that we see, especially as these years are stretched out, they're constantly shifting and trying new styles and new techniques.
Yeah.
And you know what ends up happening as a result of trying those things, of firing those different arrows? All of a sudden, one hits a bullseye. All of a sudden, you have a new style that is significantly bigger than anything else that you've created. And the only reason that you got there is because you kept firing arrows. You kept firing arrows.
Yep. And let me drop the zinger in here. If you just flip the thing upside down and look at it another way, who's not selling? Who's not selling? The people who are completely rigid with their subject matter, never are experimenting, never pivoting, right? With never experimenting with new content, new subject matter to try to find other things that hit. The least successful people, that is them.
Yep.
I don't even know if I just want to make that hit so hard to all of you, because it like it is so important to understand that when you if wherever your sales are at today, you guys, if it's at $0, if it's at like $10,000, I don't know where it is, right? But it is so important for you to understand today that what your business will look like at $100,000 a year in sales is, if you get there, is completely different than what you're doing right now. Get that, let that sink in. Okay, your business is not going to look like it is today. It's going to look very different. Okay, in the subject matter that you have, that's winning, right? That's best selling. In the marketing that you're doing, and all of it. And so it's very powerful if you let that sink in today, because then you go, wait a minute, maybe I'm being too rigid. Maybe I'm not thinking about this. Like I'm trying to sell these river paintings with rocks in them, and I've just been pounding that hard. I need more leads. I'm just pounding it, but nobody cares. That you're doing all this marketing, but it's not resonating. Right?
Yeah.
And so you got to experiment with something else. And when you experiment with that other thing, make it something that there's really a market for. You know, I've loved this. Since we've been talking about pivoting over the last year or two, I've loved seeing some of our customers and what they're doing. It's like I saw somebody painted like a Budweiser, can, right? I saw somebody else painted, a famous person, right? And then there was a Ruth Bader Ginsburg painting that came through, right? There was
a couple of them.
Yeah, and then just yesterday, surprise, surprise, one of our most successful painters dropped a Virgin Mary, painting, immediately selling, in our high value order channel, right, where we see like the high dollar, the high ticket sales coming through immediately. Within 24 hours after he drops the painting, immediately coming through, right? One of our most successful. And so what a lot of artists and photographers think is that they're going to be like Peter Lick or like this one-dimensional painter, who who has one type of subject matter, and then they build like $1 million business based on that. That's not how it works. That's not how it normally works. Okay. No. Maybe you get there one day. Maybe you get there one day when you find the subject matter that has the scale of being $1 million business. But right now you don't have it, and you've got to iterate and experiment your way there. And then the other thing that I say on this too is, and I think like this is where I'm so jealous of the artist and photographer, is that you guys are inventors. You have to understand, you are able to take a new picture of something, or you're able to make a new painting and invent a new product. That is so profound. Nobody else can do that. Okay, if I gotta build a business, I either gotta like write some new software, or I've gotta go get like a widget made from a factory, right? And hope that that's gonna work. I can't just try something new once a month, Pat. You know what I mean? Like, you guys can try something new once a week, once a month. And if you're not taking advantage of that, you're doing something that every other entrepreneur that's out there is going, oh my gosh, that's your biggest advantage. That's your biggest advantage. You got to use it. How can you not be using it? If I could do that, I'd be launching products every single month until I found the one that really hit. And then you go all in on that, right? But until then, you can make all these different hits and go after it. So the world is your oyster. Don't pigeonhole yourself. The content that you're currently selling and pushing, it might not be working. Or when you look at it, it's like, you know, there's a photographer we were talking about that had, you know, photographs of beaches in Florida. And I was like, you know, and it wasn't like, for some reason, the business was not really working. And I said, hey, look, if it's not working, stop pounding it. And he's like, what? And I'm like, look, you've been pounding the marketing at it. Try something else. For some reason, you and your product are not working. It could be both of you. It could be one or both. But the way that you're marketing it, the way that you're doing it, like, it might not be working. Okay. And so you got to try something new. Like, you have two choices: keep pounding it, or create something that's like, whoa, that has a really big market. I'm going to try that. You know, there's probably other things that you guys are very interested in personally, that like something that resonates with you, that you could either paint or shoot and then market it, and people will see your passion as you're marketing it and you're selling it, right? And you do like a live art show or a flash sale or something like that, and it starts resonating, and you start seeing like, whoa, that one was more successful than what I've been trying to push. Now I see what the problem is. I need to keep going down this angle. So pivots and experiments are a cornerstone tactic, okay, of successful entrepreneurial businesses. Are you doing them, or are you not? And are you doing them often enough? The people who know do them way more often, okay? Because they work.
Yep, that's it. And you know, Art Storefronts customers, I know all of you are in the boat where we need to talk about this, and we need to discuss this more. We need to talk about what it looks like from a tactical standpoint, how you go about doing it, how you mentally commit and write the check to doing it 10 times and then study the results. And so we have planned somewhere in Q1 a pivot experimentation specific workshop, a one-off. So look for that in Q1. That's going to be a fun one. Sorry for the plug, but I had to get it in. Okay, so that was bonus point number 1, pivots experiments. We're going to finish her off talking about the buzzword, okay, of the art world in 2021 that never should have supplanted the real buzzword, which is live art shows, but it is the buzzword that supplanted them all, by which I'm talking about.
Here it comes.
NFTs. What is an NFT exactly, Nick?
A non-fungible token.
What the hell is a non?
I can't help but laugh. I can't help but laugh because I think we just broke it. We just broke the internet as soon as we said that word. You know, an hour and a half into this this discussion, right?
Yeah.
But we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. And you know, we happen to be, you know, expert level on the topic, I would say. You know, so I think that there's some color that we can add to this. So where should we begin?
I wouldn't say expert level, but I would say, because I don't ever like saying that, but I would say first purchase crypto 10 years ago, buy crypto on a regular basis, trade crypto on a regular basis, multiple accounts, multiple wallets, hardware wallets, and up and down 9 ways to Sunday. So the point that I think you were making with that is like, we've cut our teeth in crypto, are fascinated by crypto, love learning about it, love exploring it, love everything that the blockchain portends. But the NFTs this year, I mean, this could be an entire episode, and it'll need to be another entire episode. We'll do an entire episode in Q1. But from a high level, it's just been utter total nonsense for the everyday artist. I hate to say it.
Well, the thing is that it's a rapidly evolving space. I think it's important for everybody to like understand like where the vast majority of the reason why people are buying these things is falling into one category. And you got to take Beeple and like the 65 million Christie sale like out of it, and like these just ridiculous like high-end sales, like those are there, right? But the real NFT thing that's happening, okay, is the fact that when you buy an NFT, you're joining a country club. Okay, you're getting member benefits to this community, right? And I don't know if you're able to show on your screen on Facebook an NFT that I own, okay, which is called a mutant ape. All right, it's from this. And I'll take you through it really quickly, but it's this NFT project called Bored Ape Yacht Club, BAYC. And you can look it up after this and do some research on it. But let me explain what's going on with it, guys. So some of the people who own these Bored Apes, okay, are Jimmy Fallon, Steph Curry, Post Malone, Steve Aoki, Mark Cuban, and Shaq, okay? And the Bored Ape Yacht Club, about a month ago in New York, okay, had a big party. They had like a warehouse party and a yacht party, right? That you could only go to if you owned one of these NFTs, okay? And at this, all you had to do was own the NFT. You did not have to buy anything else. You did not have to pay for a ticket or anything like that, okay? And so you could start to see like why people are owning these things and holding these things, right? At the warehouse party, Chris Rock performed, The Strokes performed, as well as like other famous DJs and bands that played there, okay? That is the benefit of owning this NFT. It has nothing to do with art on your wall. Nothing, zero, okay? Now, what some of the people are doing, because the Bored Ape community of NFT holders, right, of which I am one, what they're doing, because they're so like bought into it, they actually are taking the JPEGs, Pat, they're uploading it to like print like upload to print websites, and they're buying like, they'll buy like a metal print or they'll buy some merch, you know, and I find that, so they think they own the image, right? So like, so in other words, if you as a photographer were in this position, somebody would buy your NFT, they would just take that NFT and then just go start buying prints, not from you, just they've got the image, they would just buy their own prints and merchandise and everything, because that's what these people are doing with these things. So you would need to have very explicit, you know, rights in there. There's nothing stopping them from being able to do that. But generally speaking, that is the main thing that is driving this NFT thing. But it's evolving rapidly, right? Like with the metaverse, there's now becoming ways where like you can buy like digital property in the metaverse. And then, so if you have your house in there, you could put your NFTs on the walls in that house. And presumably, you know, artists and photographers, if you owned NFTs of artists and photographers, you could put those in your house. But what's really happening right now is, you know, the crypto holders that are buying these things, they're putting up Bored Apes and these things in their houses because it's a way of flossing, right? Or what's like the mainstream word for that? I say flossing. It's a way of like, yeah, bragging or street cred, because yeah, when you show that you have a Bored Ape, they're worth $500,000. Or if you have a CryptoPunk and it's worth like, I don't know, $1 million on some of them now.
Many millions on some.
Many millions. Yeah, people want to show things that other people know about, right? Because it gives them credibility that like, hey, I'm a millionaire, I own this art, or I'm a part of this club. And that's really what it's all about. And so you see these people using their NFTs as like profile photos on social media, because that's what the purpose is for. And so where I go back to here is like, you know, what does this mean to the regular artist or photographer that's trying to build their own business? As of right now, very little. Okay. The point here is that if you're going to sell your own NFTs, you still have to solve the exact same problem. You still have to run a direct business.
It's an attention
You got
problem.
and you have to be great at marketing. When you're great at marketing, you're going to be selling everything, not just NFTs. So get back to reality and get back to the core of the problem. Okay. If you're bad at marketing, you're not selling any NFTs. Forget it. It's a total distraction. The core problem of your business is your product and your marketing. Your product and your marketing. If you push marketing really hard and you really try and your product doesn't sell, you need to pivot and experiment with other stuff. If you really, really try, you probably need to pivot. Otherwise, you need to solve your marketing and your product problem. And then the rest of it, you release new merchandise, you release new items. Usually that's incremental revenue. And NFTs will be a part of that. NFTs will be a part of that at some point,
Yep. And we've just lost half the audience because they're like, what the heck are you talking about? But the sheer number of questions we fielded this year on NFTs has been staggering. So I think the important part is that, we're well aware. We're super excited. Nick's bought a few. Okay. He's in the deep end in one tangent. I'm in the deep end in some other tangents on it. We're very optimistic for what it portends for art and photography sales. It is not a gold rush. It is not going to explode your business. Okay. It is not some easy path to success, because that's the color in which everyone's answering the questions. We're super fascinated. We're going to be talking about it more and more. And I think on that note, we wrap up a nice list. Closing remarks.
Super excited for 2022. I'm really excited for all of you guys, especially those that made it here to the end. A lot of great information, and I really hope that you take these points and and audit. It's a great time to reflect and audit what you're doing right and what you need to change going into January, and then start executing in January. I mean, this is exactly what you got to do. If you want to have a better year than last year, take some of these things that you're doing wrong or you're maybe not doing well enough and really try to focus in on those. Write them down, come up with a plan for a couple of bullet points on each of them of things that you want to do to improve in those areas and make a material difference in your business this next year. This is like, look, e-commerce sales next year are going to be the highest ever. And guess what? In 2023, they're going to be higher. And 2024, they're going to be higher than that. And 2025, the wind is at your back, guys. It's the perfect time. It's the perfect time to get really good at direct marketing, and being a direct entrepreneur for your art or photography business. Okay. Like I said, the competition is low if you actually work at it and you do the right things. It's all there for you. All you need to do is make it happen. Right. So I'm super excited. That's my final takeaway.
I actually want each one of these points as like its own episode. That's how profound they all are. I think it's a great list, guys. We want everyone to have a wonderful new year. This has been one heck of a crazy year for many of us. It's going to be a fun one to put in the books. But let me tell you, come Monday, 2022 starts, and it's bigger. It's going to be even bigger than 2021.
We should also say we are ending a big end of year sale, guys. Big end of year sale, right? I mean, look, you got one more day tomorrow, right, to take advantage of this. Pricing is going up on some of our plans and all of that. So if you've been thinking about switching over to art storefronts or starting your business on art storefronts, request a demo today, get in there today, and don't miss out. I think it's a great opportunity to get in before January. And Pat, aren't there some live demos happening maybe tomorrow or today on Facebook?
I believe there's one happening tomorrow, usual time, Art Business Workshop.
I mean, you're coming there'll be a live demo tomorrow, but you'll have to sign up tomorrow. Otherwise, if you want to get in, and not take a chance that you miss one of the final spots, then I would request a demo today and try to talk to somebody as soon as you can. And they can show you a whole demo, ask any of your questions, go through all of the pricing, all of the details that you might have asked on this session, and make sure it's a good fit for you. And we'll make sure that you're a good fit for us as well. And see if it's if it's worth it for you to take advantage of the opportunity. But yes, the big sale is ending tomorrow. So if you're thinking about joining, I would definitely talk to someone and just get your ducks in a row and see if it's the right thing for you.
Game on, Nick. Thank you for the time. Good session.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Great New Year's, everybody. We'll see everybody again soon.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Bye now.